Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Islands of Insight. So I've customized my character once again, just trying to see if there's any value in that. And honestly, I'm probably just wasting my time. At this point, I've swapped completely to a male body form, so we're seeing a completely different character. Then we go into first person mode and we never see that person again. So we leave it at that. I had done a decent amount of Lucent Waters, and I don't think there really are any other enclaves to go to, but I have also in the last episode realized that even though this says, say, what was that, 13 out of 20? Actually, it's only 13 out of 20 to get to this point. There are apparently 608 perspective puzzles in this game that they want you to actually collect. It's questionable, certainly, whether we're going to get there. And even if we got to 294, that would give me 1,000 sparks, which I probably, by the time I've just done all the enclaves, will have unlocked everything in this. There are some, I guess, some higher priced last level upgrades, but yeah, I just don't really see much changing here. And I have enough sparks right now that if I ran into a music grid challenge or a phasic dials challenge, I could upgrade the bonus before doing it, if I remember to do that. These blue, I guess those are probably pentad puzzles, point really high in the area. Oh, those aren't pentads, those are pearls. So the biggest challenge right now, oh, so you can go first person when flying too, which really does, I think, highlight that the whole game really could have just been first person, and then you could have eliminated bothering to have a, let's do this, you could have eliminated bothering to have any character creator at all. Although in fairness, if I was first person flying around, I probably would struggle a little bit to land in specific spots. And yeah, it definitely feels like there is no shield for the major areas like there are shields for the enclaves, and you can just wander into an area. This theme over here, inspired by more Greek-Roman columns and things like this area here, feeling much more like it is Japanese pagoda inspired architecture and just in general environment. I assume a significant amount of all of this is pre-made content as far as the columns and the textures and the models being placed decently, though. I have to admit that it's not like they did a terrible job placing things. You could argue maybe there's too much architecture happening and it's slightly distracting from the puzzles themselves, but I really wouldn't argue too much around that. Okay. So, if all the numbers are off by 1 and all the numbers are locked, then inherently we can say that it won't connect any of these, which then means that is there, and that is there, which means that is there, and that is there, which means that is there. And then we can do that, and What would make this really difficult, I suppose, is if you had to figure out some way to figure out if some of these were off by 1, but some of these were right. But because they're all off by 1, it doesn't matter, really. The whole setup is just read a 6 when it says 5, read a 7 when it says that. Now, how am I supposed to pull this off? Because this is 4. But that wouldn't fit. And we know this is right. We kind of knew that these had to connect because there's just not enough space here. If it was off by some number, but it didn't tell you the number, then this could be a 6. And a 6. They don't all have to be off in the same direction. So this is a 5 and this is a 5, which inherently means this 4 needs to touch this in some other way. How can we make that happen? This could be a 4 and this could be a 4 and it could be separated. Suppose that's a possibility. Or this could be a 5 if we did say that, and then this could be a 3. Yeah. Okay, so this has to be 2. This is getting more complicated. This has to be 3, which means you can't touch that and you can't touch that. This has to be 4. This has to be 4. This has to be 6. Means that's not there. You would kind of assume that that is that shape. And then let's see. Went too far there. I suspect that is that shape. I suspect that is that shape. These two can't be connected. So then that has to be that way. And then this one can be a 1. And then this one could be a 3. But then this one would have to be a 2. Which means this has to be a 3. This could be 7, or this could be, well, wait a minute. A 6 and a 7 next to each other doesn't work. If this went up to 7 and this went down to 6, it still wouldn't work. If they both went up, they'd still be one away from each other. If they both went down, they'd still be one away. So that has to be separated, which then probably means that there's that pattern. And then there's some pattern here. We're looking for 7. We've got 7 here. And then we're looking for 6, I guess. So we do that. And that gave us a new insight. This could be 3. This could be 2 or 4 if it goes in that direction, and it kind of just doesn't matter. This can be that 4. And yeah, we could do that. This could be 5. Then just do that. That one won't work. That one won't work. This one could be 5, which would make the most sense. How do we get to a 5 though? That one won't work. And that one won't work. This could be. This one won't work either. This could be 4. It wouldn't make a lot of sense just to make that a 1. Although that just doesn't feel right. And this could be 5 again. But we're at 6 now. So is there any way we could make this a 3 and not touch something? No. Is there any way we could make this a 3 and not touch something? No. So it's got to be 5. How can it be 5? Well, we are at 5, aren't we? I'm just counting on. The Mirror Bliss, if you were in first person mode when you collected those, would actually be more interesting to look at anyways. Go ahead and get a ring because I'm seeing it. I may have to fly around. Yeah, that's not too far. We're still looking for 3 crystal labyrinths, or we could trade out for other daily quests. And yeah, I guess these daily quests could go on for a very long time, considering how much else is here, how many puzzles there seem to be. And I'm still questioning whether the puzzles are procedurally being generated in-game or whether they were procedurally generated and then locked into place in the development of the game. Both are possible. It takes a lot more work, certainly, to be able to have a game just constantly generate puzzles. Obli, the last secret. What is it she wants us to know? The memories ebb and flow, but I know it has to do with the rip in the sky. You should ask. It doesn't pay to be ignorant in the land of knowledge. Indeed, my friend. But what do you know of the rip in the sky? I have lived in this land of knowledge longer than the rest of us. Sometimes I feel half of me was left on the other side, that I'm in a perfect balance of ignorance and enlightenment. But I will tell you what I remember. And that's just where the story ends for that. Yep. Definitely feels like the game is going to tease a lot. So we click this, and this is going to awaken the land, which means it's going to just send us to an enclave. Let's see. All things in twos. A click in time. This is phasic dials. So let's do Dryads in the Mist first. Unless we wanted to do logic grids. Yeah. This definitely feels like the one they want you to do. And so you have just like several options in this world where I feel like maybe previously it locked you down to picking, and well, not picking, but going in the order that they had decided. Let's see. Maybe a matchbox. Yeah, there's kind of just a question here as far as just how much of this should I do versus how much of this should I wait and do later. You want to get this piece downward. Which means something has to move further. That has to move up. In fact, I could have moved that way earlier. Then you do that. Maybe you do that to start there. Maybe you do that. No, if you do it that way, then you lose the one you're looking for. Okay. That works. But all that feels just a little bit like a distraction. Yep. These sky drops, definitely a distraction. Like, it totally feels like you should do all the enclaves first. Just don't worry about any other puzzles. Of course, they've made a whole system here so that you do kind of fiddle and worry about other puzzles. By physically dropping you in a specific area. Even. There's definitely a feeling here, too, that you probably should have been locked into walking to a lot of places. That if the gliding was perhaps something that was a power-up you got that lasted only 30 seconds to a minute, but when you're in the world you're stuck on the ground, that would keep your perspective way more limited, having you look up to solve a lot of puzzles instead of potentially climbing to the top of things to solve a bunch of puzzles. You still would have platforming and jumping, obviously, but yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense. Certainly when you look at these whole characters, they're just kind of making a whole path. Let's see what this one says. The keeper of the land will never get lost. Okay. It does also feel like this area is going to have a whole lower section. So we're going to get in this ravine and make do with this. Again though, it might be the case that either doing the monument, that would just highlight on the map where all the puzzles are, or maybe just doing all the enclaves will highlight where all the puzzles are, making the second act of this game, the cleanup of the puzzles, might be way easier. The keeper of the lost will never land. What does it mean, Amaya? Perhaps you should read the proverb again. Let's see, here we have the whole shield. All things in twos. So this seems to me like this is a matchbox focused area, but we do have some grids. All dark region areas have 2. Okay. Which would mean that has to be white, and that has to be white, that has to be white, that has to be black, that has to be black, that has to be white, that has to be black. They call that size overloading. I often think back to those first moments when the fractured sky raged like a maelstrom around us. What life did I leave behind? And I'm still toying in my mind. I don't believe this really is going to be the reveal of the story, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe this is the last thing you match in this whole area. I'm toying in my mind with this being some kind of mental prison, that something very dangerous, or considered dangerous at least, has been locked in a completely different format and form in this world, and I am that. The player is that very dangerous thing. We are being kept distracted and busy with puzzles. Of course, a human, per se, probably wouldn't just naturally want to solve all these puzzles to be that distracted. So I would almost think, if that was going to be the story, again I don't believe it really is, it would have to be some kind of artificial intelligence being sandboxed away, locked away, and distracted with puzzles. We have to connect all the light pieces, which means that has to be light. Means that has to be light, that has to be light, that has to be light. That means that has to be light. And then this has to be light. if you were going to realistically try and distract a artificial intelligence with a virtual world full of puzzles, even 10,000 plus of them, is not enough. Yeah. And that same story could have been told in the Talos Principle. It almost was the story of the Talos Principle. Actually, I think that's pretty much exactly the story of the Talos Principle. Well, dark regions must have 2. Okay. Whoops. Missed a rule there. Okay, so that doesn't work. Did we make a mistake here? What did we do wrong? That and how could we correct it? See, it must be a region of 2, which means all that has to be circled around. There's kind of no other way that would have worked. These 2 had to be here, then that would have put 1 here, which couldn't have gone that way, and maybe could have gone that way, but no, couldn't. So then you do this, and that gives us 2, 4, 6. So yeah, several times here I've already thought that I was messing up just because my count has been off. This is another area where the whole experience is going to change drastically if you just start jumping around. Area must equal. Okay. Be wrong. So is there any way to do this? I'm probably starting in the exact wrong place. There's just a lot of empty space, it feels like, here. And weirdly, it does just give the feeling that every other puzzle has been focused in such a way We know this has to be part of this. We assume this has to be a part of this. Yeah. There's almost certainly a diagonal split that has to happen. And can't go too far. Okay. We just worm our way, I guess, in this general direction. Guess what you can do is we need to see, this is right, or at least seems right. Just shoot that straight up that direction, and then do that, do that, do that. Two. But that breaks that, and that breaks that when we do it that way. So what's the other step here? How do we make this black? You probably have to do something like that, but then inherently that would have to be black too, so it has to be that. I suppose I might be able to do something like that. Nope. That won't work either. Let's look at a foresight. Okay. If we were to do that, we'd have to do this. We'd have to do this. Do that. Do that. That leaves us only with a few more things that we'd have to figure out. That is wrong. Wow. Okay. So what are we, how are we pushing that inward? Are we doing something as crazy as that? That is wrong. Also, which if that's wrong, this would have to be changed. Seems like we might be getting closer. But it still seems like we are fairly far away. What in the world? So this is still going upward. This is crazy. It's way too many now. One, two, three, four, 5, 6. Now we have a whole 4 that weirdly we would connect in some way. 2, 4. We still would need one more. Well, we have moved via the insights where our attention is, at least. And that we're now just trying to figure out how to get this to be 6. And I can't just pull back and make that one white, can I? So that would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Checkerboard pattern. Is there a place I can make it black and it won't matter? Yes. That took a little too long. And I could blame being sleepy on why I was struggling with some of the puzzles in the last recording, but I've slept since then, so now that would be a poor excuse. Perhaps an excuse I'd still use, but it would be a poor excuse nonetheless. Let's see. So a whole bunch of red matchboxes. Now we're seeing some greens. Jump over here, I guess. Even in this spot, we still definitely have a situation where the ability to be distracted is really, really high. Okay. Interesting. So the trick here is actually probably something closer to that, because we can't have those two connecting. So those can't be white. That can be white. Then that wouldn't connect. That can be white. And I imagine then this all just is going to connect. slightly, mostly right there. Just gonna come down to probably changing that to that, and that to that. I guess the longer you struggle on the next puzzle, the more your foresights will refill. There's no way that the sea goes all the way around and like that. It has to connect here. These extra spots could be different. But not by much. One of these things is wrong. There's no way that's right. But then that has to be black there. Block that. Which then makes that have to be black there. Means that there's just two black there. Yeah. That was tricky. What are our goals overall? Find hidden rings, solve puzzles. Yes, probably find some of those also. I suspect we're gonna end up hitting the matchboxes quite a bit. Very well end up jumping up to the tops of these pagodas to get higher insights. Okay. We have to connect all dark and we have to connect all light. Okay, well then wouldn't that be something wrong? That pattern. Something on there, I would guess. Then we have to connect all white too. It's gonna inherently start with twos and then it's gonna change. This whole pattern's gonna change. So how are we supposed to do this? Guess you just work on it. Just keep up the pressure, keep up the momentum, and Now, if I am supposed to get to the top of these pagodas, there's not really a lot here to reach those heights. Again, I would also say this definitely feels like this is a area where being on the ground may be necessary. And there's probably a decent amount of memorization that's going to go here. Like, I haven't found a single matchbox. There's 5 other archways apparently. And it does feel like we are probably going to end up just and all dark regions have 2. Okay, that's going to be your limiting factor on this. How this is all gonna have to work out is something like that. That's 7. Okay. Couldn't put a dark here. Couldn't put up a dark here. Could put a dark here. And then eliminate that section. And that will make that do all of that. There could just be a fairly large empty section in the middle here. Let's see. That's going to be white. That's going to be that. And that's going to do that and that. It's going to lock in that. Okay, we now have only room for one more. Definitely have a real concern that this might be more of a game that has multiple acts, like 5, 6, 7, 10 acts, and that the first act, interesting, you have just a floating leaf here. Is that a glitch? Very possibly. Was this procedurally generated in this spot and then locked down because none of these objects have physics? You can't click on them or run into them, so they're not just going to naturally fall down or move. So one would assume everything is locked into place. For a puzzle game, that would make a lot of sense. Yeah, I definitely do wonder if there isn't just a major amount of experience that's going to end up happening here. How would that work? I guess like that. And I don't know how much I could really handle if it's just like, okay, now we've unlocked another 1,000 puzzles, and here's another 1,000 puzzles. We kind of know that's what's going to happen here. It's pretty obvious that's what's going to happen. But I'm not really ready to come to terms with that, being the truth. And inherently, there is still that question as far as just how much of this is really going to be tolerable. and if there's just going to be a point where I lose interest. The enclaves are going to be that determining factor more than likely. If I do all the enclaves in the game and still have some enthusiasm, a lot of these matchboxes they're putting in spots where it might be easier to find them or see them later. And remember, we do have the ability to jump high into the sky, and in this area that may play a role. Should also, I guess, just see what this has to say. The goddess tells me that a mind can become damaged and forget parts of itself, and that I may remember in time, but what if the memories only remind me of what I lost? So we're looking all around. Increasingly, they're putting more matchboxes next to each other, which is making it more difficult. That feels like that was supposed to be a dead end. Exactly one symbol per thing, but it's not actually being held to the everything equals 2 rule. So this actually should be fairly easy. Another symbol. And I suppose these matchboxes now are highlighting where it would make sense to have multiple markers. Yeah. Because, yeah, you can't really do the matchboxes without, well, you can do them without, but it would be a lot easier to do them with multiple markers. I don't know if what I'm saying actually makes sense here. But we are, regardless, filling this in quickly. So at least we're making progress while I'm rambling. Because yeah, if I could go over there and put a marker, which weirdly, notice how the marker placed where the cursor is. So if I want to put a marker where I am, I have to look downward. Yeah. Yeah, if I was going to put a marker here, well, dark regions have 2. know how that's gonna work then. Wasn't too hard. Yeah. You click on this, you stand in a place, you can't look around. So, unless I was going to memorize the locations of things. These matchboxes, when they've been solved, they glow a different color. They don't disappear. But when you click on them, it tells you that it's already been solved too, so no big deal there. I thought I had been over here, but maybe I have, maybe I haven't. Guess I hadn't. Okay, all dark areas have a size of 2. Start with that. There are just going to be, I think, massive floods here. But I think it's going to get a little trickier. And how everything is depicted. So you're going to have to go here. Do something like that. Do something like that. Probably do something like that. So then, now that we have some kind of zigzag line, and actually, this kind of needs to go all the way over here and do something like that. This one has to go here, which means that has to go there. Okay. How are we blocking this off then? And I've definitely set myself up for just needing to use 4 sites. Almost certainly. See, that's not too bad as far as the B's. Really only just leaving an A spot here to somehow connect this A while blocking off this. Let's leave it there and use a foresight. So I was really, really close, although still don't think I really would have gotten it on my own. Is there some possibility that that matchbox symbol... I guess there is this weirdness. There's a weird possibility here that you would be in an area very high up and that you would just see a matchbox super far away. Although maybe that wouldn't really let you click on it. But I still also would have preferred a binocular ability of some sort. There's a couple of crystal puzzles, which we should go check those out later. Let's focus on making sure we are doing what we're supposed to do here. To connect. So how are we going to get B to connect without touching C? And what the heck is the deal with that? Well, my theory would be that that connects that way. Then those would connect that way, and that's a B. But then how do you block the rest of this? These do feel like they are getting just more and more difficult. Even though the difficulty ratings on them are not changing. Yeah, it's almost worth it, I think, to set some things up in the hopes that you would guess correctly. This only really leaves this one spot. How would this work? Oh, you could do that and you could do that. Then you could do that. And then do that and that. And that's a way you could zigzag around. And then if you did that, that has to be that. Now, I don't feel like I'm getting better at seeing that I'm close to the endings here. Although that may not be a really necessary skill. Here we have leaves that are pre-programmed to fall, which is interesting. I don't know if it is going to actually play a role. We know that there are secret mysteries in this game somewhere. Okay. All dark areas have two. Which means inherently you have to do that. And that is going to force the location of a lot of these. Then we don't want to make a square pattern, so we do that. And we don't want to make a square pattern, so we do that. And then if we did that, that would stop this from being a square pattern. Here we have some more rocks just floating in the air. I can't help but that's glitching, or inherently that's a lack of care. Certainly if this is an MMO, it could be a lack of care, and they could... There are 16 hidden archways. They could just plan on updating the game. We know a certain level of that is true, because updating to have an offline mode is something they did. Now, I think most people would argue this game should have had an offline mode to begin with, but if you were willing to launch your game without an offline mode and make it an MMO when it really has no business being an MMO, I think you might also be willing to stick to that decision and never bother, either out of just determination and spite, to put it in an offline mode. Work its way together pretty easily. Of course, I've kind of given up at this point in trying to get perfect solutions. If I get it perfectly, that's great, but the time constraints are just so heavy. So I'm gonna shoot myself up high in the air. Get on top of this. Which that seems like that was the only way. Now, if I run here and then jump back and glide, I can reach back there. There's stuff to be done. I need to find greens that would match the reds. No, one of them is there, but we can't hit that one. So we know that is there. And the match to that, I think we just saw. Where was it? Maybe we didn't. Nope, we just saw that from a different angle. Okay, well, it's not shooting us in every direction, which there's some good news there. Connect all dark cells, which, okay, if we did that, that works. And then if we did that, that doesn't work. So we've got to figure out a way to separate this. Three, 3, 7, black, black. And then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 7. You'd think there would have been something there. It's Matchbox puzzles. That's not the same shape. Maybe the idea here is that the Matchbox puzzles are supposed to be stepping stones. I'm not really sure what the whole deal with the rings are, though. What the logic behind it is. We want you to jump in this general direction. Let's work our way to the top of this mountain and then we'll jump to the top of the pagoda. I am assuming we will never actually get inside the pagodas. I'm also assuming that this enclave just has a lot of stuff in it. Okay, so all dark regions must have all light regions must be connected, and you can't make a square pattern. All dark regions must be of size 2. Can't make that shape. So far, so good, I think. Yeah, and I'm getting quiet now because I'm actually trying to focus on this more. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Is everything still connected if we do that? Nope, we've got a problem. Mm-mm. Okay, got it. It definitely is a case that if you hated the grid puzzles in this game, you should not go any further with it. You definitely aren't going to have a good experience. What? A dislike of the grid puzzles. Same is kind of true for a lot of other puzzles. Seeing a little bit of pop-in of shading and foliage. Here's my thought. Like, yes, I could go down to this pagoda. I need to do that. But I'm thinking that most of these Matchbox puzzles are actually on other islands, and I'm being too precious about visiting these other islands. I think they are part of the puzzle. That being said, being where the Matchbox is probably not how you find the match. Like, okay. This is gonna be, I think, a tougher one. Probably that. And it's probably that. Let's see. Okay, we were one off. We're not doing too bad. Just gotta figure out how to make this B cut into this more without touching that. There's no way. That won't work either. So it's gotta be something closer to maybe that. Move that direction. move that direction. And then we can maybe push something that direction. Can't touch that. Could touch that. Could touch. Now that's pretty much set in stone, isn't it? So we have to put this somewhere else. Or this kind of has to be there. Alright, let's use a foresight. What does that change? What in the world would that change? If that is there. Okay. Makes a different barrier. I'm fairly shocked that solved anything. Here we have a dragon on the ground. I guess we could fly back that way. I'm also noticing that there's kind of a platform there. I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually one symbol per light area. Connect all the dark cells. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a similar experience in the overworld where you are getting towards central areas like the top of the mountain in this map. Just gonna continuously try and connect things. It definitely feels to me like this is more of a brute force experience a lot of times, and that there isn't really a logical reason that you would engage with it and try and think all the solutions through. But yeah, there's a lot of puzzlers out there that would not really appreciate that. Let's see. How do we get this piece to connect? I'm very close from the feel of it. Getting closer. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, everything I do is really just undoing a little bit of progress somewhere else. Need one more here. Need to connect that here. Should need one more there. And I'm just getting further and further away. So let's just see a foresight. Multiple or colored incorrectly. If that is the case, then we'll see if we can work with that. The hope there is, of course, that one foresight would be the only one we'd have to actually use. Just wants to land you completely on top of it. Now, ideally, I'd want to get all the way to the top of there, but maybe you have to land here on this bridge to start. Okay. So we're looking for green. That's the only green I see. Also have key 1. I guess we'll look around. We need 4 more matchboxes before we even start to finish the enclave. Yeah, I wonder, is this the solution? The problem here, as I see it, is that there's still... I need to look at the map. Like, we just came from this island. We, I think, went to this island, but maybe we didn't. There's just a lot of different islands here. This is a mystery, but there's a whole other section. So let's just mark that on the map so we know where we're going. And perhaps that is what the rings are also supposed to be showing us, is that in this section things are really far apart from each other. The other thought, though, is that this is just a whole different area. Yeah, this is just a whole different area. Let's see. So yeah, I don't want to engage with that. If that's a whole different area. I want to try and be thorough. Now, there are bonuses for finishing these crystal mazes fast. To finish the crystal mazes fast, I suspect the trick is to look through them and find the right path. Though it's kind of hard to see which is the right path and which isn't. You can't just fly up here. Before we start, it might be worth checking to see, do we want to get any other bonus or anything? No, I think multiple map markers by far is your smartest move. Let's just look around and see if we see any matchbox that matches that. But funny thing here is I was doing so well on these the last episode that it straight up turned me from disliking them to actually rather appreciating. I think a big part of doing these puzzles in particular is just moving really slow. And possibly figuring out the thing to focus on. See, I'm looking at the center here, and I might very well need to look more in the middle or on the edges. I also think that I'm a little too lost on this one. I'm getting distracted on distractions here. So I'm not sure that there actually is that much a variety on these puzzles. And I have no idea what I just got as far as a time there. Did I get a really good time or did I get a kind of bad time? I was too busy paying attention to actually solving the crystal maze. It's also pretty obvious that I should very sparingly solve these, because if you're going to get a daily quest to do these, and there's no guarantee, although I think there might be a chance, that these respawn. If I have a daily quest to solve 3 of these, I should just do 3, turn in the daily quest, and be done with it. Am I doing this correctly or am I going in circles? Let's see. It's already too late to get the highest score. That does make me think that there is really kind of a low chance of you getting the highest score. So the trick here, I think, is to have jumped. Yeah, you have to kind of glide, don't you? Would have never gotten this. And so the expert time, the master time, those are things I would never actually accomplish. Unless I got really lucky. And it is very possible that these times are kind of made up and not tested. Yeah, you had to curve quite a bit there. With that, I'm going to just teleport to the pearl. Turn in that quest. 15 matchbox ones we will accept now. I'm calling these daily quests, but honestly I guess they aren't really daily quests. Now that we have multiple map markers, area counter is not something I really need because I can count myself, so it probably is worth it to get that. Or we could do that. Yeah, it's probably not a terrible thought for the have chromatic sky drops spawn occasionally. So now back we go. This is one we still haven't unlocked, and that is part of the reason why it makes all the sense in the world. To continue to do the enclaves first. if we happen to find something else. I don't think there will be any hidden objects. So yeah, you're getting shot past a lot of stuff there. Okay. So where we are, you see there's one island here. And we know now that that island is not part of it. So my question would be, is that island part of it? Nope, that island is not part of it. Because that is all grayed out. So it is here, here, here. And how many of these map markers can we place? Seems to be like 5 of them. Okay. So, probably would make sense to label all the reds. Didn't really mean to hit that button. Or label things that are somewhat difficult to see. Those are wrong. Now I am seeing multiple map markers being a problem here, in that when you try to get rid of things, it may instead just add another one from a distance. I bet there's probably a lower area, ravine section around all this too. Yeah. So we should probably investigate, not just the glitches. Yeah, we've seen enough glitches now for me to believe that these are unintentional elements. If that makes sense. Yeah. This is a giant world. And it certainly is a good example of just the weirdness that is making open world games. Just the massive amount of energy and special engines like Speed Tree that automatically place forests and trees, just so the world doesn't feel empty. And then there is a decent amount of... I think I am supposed to go down here. Yep, this is another part of Dryads in the Mist. Again, I heavily suspect that this game was originally trying to be a much bigger MMO experience. That's the only thing that really would make sense. Let's just make a pattern here. And then do that. I'm not sure I really learned anything in solving that puzzle. I think I may have really just cheated more than anything else. Okay, there's a symbol here. And then there is a symbol here. These two do match. I can find just a couple more matchbox puzzles, at least will accomplish the main goal. Although, it really doesn't do anything for you. You would think it would. But, yeah. You basically unlock nothing for completing the main goal. You just moved on to the next step, which is to then complete the next goal. We'll have to come back up here, I guess. Well, we've already solved that one, so I didn't have to go back up there. Don't make this pattern. All dark regions have two connected. In a lot of ways, I suppose this is just combining several different sections. This is all just going to spiral out in these directions. Fill in entire sections. It's gotta go that way. Something's gotta go that way. Then this potentially just has to go that way. Fill that in. more tricky stuff, I suppose. Eventually, this will all fill in. I suppose. Kinda has to. There's something off there. And this is an empty square, and that's an empty square. But that has to be something. So basically it has to be that. I'm very possibly making some assumptions here. Some incorrect assumptions. Can't do that. So probably have to do something like that. But how? So I did that, and did that. That should be fine. Did that. That should be fine. Clearly, there are things that are wrong. See what the foresight helps us with. It tells me that is there. It tells me that has to be there, that has to be there. That's there, that's there. Maybe that fixes what we needed. Fixed. And then there's just like a lot of assumption here. Just fill in. If these are all locked this way, and how do we do this? 2, 4, 6. That is wrong. Okay. So if that is wrong, then this A is still trying to connect to this A. That gives us a goal. Okay. That is wrong. Then this has to go here. That has to go here, assuming that is right. That connects that. Now all of a sudden the B's are connected. I'm making an assumption there that it even needs a blocker. this is wrong. Which then makes this wrong. Then makes that wrong. I don't know how I'm gonna end up knowing for certain what the solution is on that one. Yeah, it seems to me like there was multiple solutions there. Either way. But whatever. Yeah, definitely felt like a more difficult one. That was probably appropriately labeled as a more difficult one. I swear I've seen that symbol before. Yeah. My instincts are telling me to go this way because I see a puzzle this way. Where to go? 20. Well, I think we can fairly well assume then that this is just going to go in similar directions as that. And the funny thing is, we kind of don't even need to count. Just move our way down. Yeah, didn't even really have to count it. Just because the number was so ridiculously high that the only way that would have worked is if it had snaked around lots of different places. Now we still are seeing a lot of these really tall trees. If this was an area that had hidden cubes, I'd be fairly irritated by that. In what way would we be able to hit this cube? About to fall off to my death. Or my non-death. Okay. From this angle, can I see that? No. In particular, they have a piece of cement statue blocking it. So that cube seems like it can only be hit from something over there. But yeah, you're getting into a whole different region. So I would also have to assume maybe it can be hit from a maybe really high angle. If you were on top of this tree, since the tree is solid. It definitely doesn't feel like it's the right move to run that direction. And yeah, if there was a whole chase sequence in this area, that would be a lot. honestly, at this point, I just don't see how you would solve these matchboxes without multiple markers. There's still 11 hidden rings, one more hidden archway, and a lot of matchboxes in this area. Yeah. I think maybe you could slowly reduce things, but all dark regions have 2. Can't make a pattern. I am going to kind of make an assumption here that there is full-on patterns around all of this that fill in what has to be. I'm also making an assumption that it is reflected and very possibly it's not reflected. This is locked, this is locked, this is locked. So your best bet is probably to do something like that. Make that shape. These 2 are locked, and this either goes up. Why did the music go quiet? Multiple sections are incorrect. Start. The earliest one is this. Okay. I do think these bottom ones are right. But you've got a lot of matching if you're doing that. Now what's funny about that is that felt like the foresight was telling me something different, and that I found possibly a different solution. I bet it wasn't. I bet I'm just misremembering what that one hint led me to, but that would be slightly irritating if it did turn out that there was longer lists of... Pretty sure there is a cube over there. Did we find a cube here to match? Or a matchbox? So that one shoots me up here. Which then I guess is encouraging me to go here. I wish the hidden rings did something more. Okay. Here, here. I noticed also that there is one sneakily hidden down here, and there. That's the big one. So perhaps that teaches me a lesson as far as keeping an eye on below. This definitely was an area where you were heavily encouraged to walk around. So by staying on the ground, there is kind of a heavy encouragement to look under things. This one. What different angles can I see this box at? And that one. Yeah. There is a lot of this happening, isn't there? We've got to be standing under these shadows. To see it. Wrong target. Now see, that's weird because I left clicked there and it took away the marker when I thought right clicking was what would place and take away markers. Seems like either kind of clickings count, and it really shouldn't work that way. I do think I can find all the hidden rings pretty quickly now that I'm just going to be looking under. So yeah, definitely multiple paths. When I've gotten up here, I imagine there's less of that. Of course, what I really would want now is just more map markers. If I knew multiple map markers was a thing, then I would have wanted that. And if I get to level 37, getting dual luminous quests probably is a smart move to get fairly early. Basic styles we probably should unlock fairly quickly too. We probably should get extra foresights though, since I am increasingly using them. My brain is getting worn down. This has got to be a good spot. Where? Where's the other one though? Don't see it. Should be another one right there. So we're looking for greens. This rock, very strategically placed to block. Definitely going to need every marker. I think higher is better. And I think it probably is. A lot of these are just connecting the outer edges. Okay. Back this way we go. Maybe we even need to go to the islands further in that direction. We are very typically ending up having to wander around areas 2 or 3 times. This time though, you're really far away. It's not really letting me click on any of those. So there must really be a distance as far as matchboxes go. And the question is going to be how to figure out what that distance is. All areas have dark too, so this has to be white, which then means either this or this is dark. And we can't make a 4 in a row pattern, which probably means something along that lines. If it does work that way though, then how do we solve that? Does have to be dark, does have to be dark. Which means something probably, if that solves a lot of problems, then that solves it, I guess. It's funny, I suppose, that the hidden archways are effectively adding more to the screen so that they are going to block out your vision. Okay, so I know it's here and here. So there's got to be a point somewhere here where I can see them both. Still a lot of hidden rings. Still a lot of matchbox puzzles. Very likely are going to spend most, if not all the time in the next episode still running around this enclave. Which this might be the line in which we start to see enclaves getting larger. Kind of funny that the game just lets you fall through the floor. By this point in the game, though, I imagine you are fairly self-assured that falling at any point is not going to kill you, so the idea of introducing a broken floor to go there's not a big deal. Right, so we've seen this symbol for sure. Is it that symbol? Yes. So how do we match the symbols? Can I, through the broken floor, see puzzle, the matchbox? Where was it? It's like way back here. So, unless this wall disappeared, interesting. So, it's above or below. It, to me, seems like it's got to be above. Let's go ahead and just place a marker. We do know we're going higher anyways. So, we'll shoot ourselves up in the air. Then fall back down. Might be that I need to be on that island. I guess that triggers music from playing again. So you've got this piece. Guess you just mark it. Yeah. More floating rocks. Yeah, that is down there. Is there anything else on this little island? This is about as far as I can go. So my thought here would be possibly you click on that as you're falling downward and then you respawn. Whoops. To fall quite a few places. And that definitely did not work for me. Don't have an ability to teleport to an area that I do think is something you unlock at some point. Look down while placing a map marker to place a return beacon instead. Yeah, at level 35. Or at level 22. get back to over there. What's the fastest way to do that? Can we get back up to a high spot over here? In a lot of ways, I am just undoing my own progress too when I distractedly start looking in a different area. Of course, that also helps keep the game somewhat interesting. I don't want to get annoyed by the game, staying in one area too long, or working on one challenge too long. I can definitely see why you would want floating islands in the sky for this kind of puzzle game. It would be incredibly overwhelming if this was all just one connected world. If there was some ability to move the matchboxes, swap the symbols that's on them, that would make some sense. Yeah, we were on that island. Maybe there's something worth seeing on this island. Maybe the islands are just ways to solve things. Right, well. I almost wonder if it would make a little bit more sense for the right click to put down dark tiles instead of the right click putting down light tiles. A slight difference there, but yeah, there's something to the mentality there to think in the positive versus think in the negative, even if it is just positive colors versus dark colors, light colors versus dark colors. Guess we can go ahead and fill that in. And what I assume is the case here is that if I filled in everything, I would be able to flood fill the rest with white tiles, but this don't make a 2x2 in white would stop that. Yeah. So these two can't be two whites, and it can't be there, so those have to be dark tiles, and that has to be white. Okay, that has to be white then. If this was here, it'd have to be a 2x2 there. That's that's not a good one to look at. I'm starting to get mentally exhausted here. It kind of just feels like you could fill all of this in, but no, that's not true. Somewhere here, they're gonna need a 2x2. That seems like that would make a lot of sense. Doing that, doing that, doing that, doing that, doing that, doing that, yeah, okay. I'm basically just guessing now. I'm just intentionally guessing here to fill in things instead of trying to follow any kind of logic. I'm just hoping by just being told that I'm wrong over and over again, I can fill in enough, at least, that the game would then let me use the foresights to fill in the rest. There probably is a higher value in marking everything. I'm just drained. It is time to end this episode. I guess inherently, if I get something that works, that's all that matters. I think the game would be happy enough with that. Well, let's just fill in the rest of this. Okay, well, that mostly solves it. Let's then make an assumption. So that if that moves that around, this is going to use up all of my foresights. So that used up all my foresights. And the little gold frames here, not particularly easy to look at on the TV 8 feet away, so that would be where the important information would be highlighted. That was a tough one. I really want to figure out the trick, though. So my assumption is that you were supposed to double jump here, so you could double jump here. And that does give this whole game a feeling like you're supposed to, at some point it was designed in such a way that you weren't supposed to be able to fly and glide. Stand here. Is there any way you could see through a crack or something? It's not like there's any other even spaces on the ground. Like from this spot, you could kind of edge your way. So I can grab like just the edge of that, but see that. And it is a case that you can jump, so if there was a way to possibly jump and click on this and see that. There's no ground over here either. I do think I saw the cursor change. Let's put the marker so we can see it. Now it's gonna get crazy. That is going to get really crazy if all of a sudden we're having to jump to solve a bunch of matchboxes. So, I've seen that symbol. I know I have. Let's see if maybe there's a way, a path downward. That on the way down makes some more sense. It's all kinds of hidden rings too, I'm sure. This one, I definitely think does connect to one of the cubes in the center here. That would have to be one of the red cubes. There may not be too many of those left. This rock jutting out definitely feels like it's intentional. What in the world is that? Why is there a jump in the air? Well, we did see that in one other place. In an upside down section. So are we supposed to use this to see some kind of cube? If that's the case, where's the other cube I'm supposed to see? If it is hidden under. I definitely do think that that is the move. But I also see that there's a ring down there. I don't think the game intended for you to so that may be exclusively just rings that were down there and double the amount of rings you'd normally expect. Puzzles. Now it's going to give me a mirror boost as soon as I touch my feet are on the ground, which is a very typical way in which rewards are tested and programmed for. But you won't get the reward until your feet are touching the ground. Okay. Well, the good news is I think I know where that matchbox is. It's way over. Nope. It's not that one. Okay. Those two are right next to each other. It's going to be somewhat annoying in that we're going to do the remaining matchboxes for it then to just tell me we've still got a lot of this sideways. I was not expecting that. wanted to give this area another sweep. Inherently, it's always going to be a case that whichever of the 2 or 3 types of puzzles in these enclaves you struggle with are going to be the ones that you likely are going to have more to do of. Oh, what a trick. The box is inside the box. Well, that opens up a whole new realm of possibilities. Maybe I'm supposed to go over there. Did we consider that? Oh, I think I've already been over there. Although it probably wouldn't hurt to go and investigate it some more. Later. I think I'm about to have a coughing fit, so, you know, it's best to probably just end it here. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, and keep on watching. Thanks.